I've done a lot of trading things on this channel, but I haven't explained my approach thoroughly. I'm a momentum trader, strictly momentum. When it comes to investing, I use levels and momentum. I found that has a high expectancy for me over the long term with a lot of patterns. High expectancy means that basically the chart goes up and to the right. It works as profitable on certain patterns, and sometimes they change. Sometimes there's patterns that work better, like in a bear market. You're gonna want to trade more breakdowns, more 52-week low type things, and then in a bull market, you trade the bull flags and the breakouts. And I just wanted to run through this stock because it's a good example of one that met my investing criteria that I do, which is deep value in a lot of stocks. I have a lot of approaches to the market. I'm a thematic investor and deep value. The deep value, I've blended in more of the thematics lately, and it's been doing really well. But this coffee holdings was actually just a deep value stock. There was no thematic behind it. It's just a really good company, a valuation, deep valuation. Back in 23, it was trading for less than half of their net tangible asset value. In other words, it's trading for like less than half of their assets on the balance sheet. So it's almost like a liquidation price. Like if something's going to be liquidated. So we can see how momentum works in this chart and my levels. This one was a really good example of how it all came together with the technicals and the fundamental approach to use with the deep value. It was in a downtrend, started a downtrend a while back, and it's continued a downtrend. And then back in October, it found some support and it held in November. I use trend levels. I don't use moving averages because moving averages just does the same thing, but it's not as precise. With a trend line, you can find the precise points where the market makers and the algorithms have picked it up. Whereas a moving average, you having to like tweak it to find where it has signal, because you have to have signal. Signal is where basically where it works, where where it shows you that the signal that the moving average or the trend line works. So the signal here worked a lot of times. It held this a lot of days here, like 5 days or so there, and then a lot of times it can be they're kind of rough. Like they don't always hit perfectly, but sometimes they do. And this is like an internal downtrend channel resistance. Resistance is where it just doesn't go above, and it hit off this a couple times here. You have to do like an internal one because it didn't hit every time, but it hit there, and there 3 times, and then it kept going down. Sometimes they overshoot and come back in, and then it came down. But I noticed this base forming here when the stock was so cheap. So we zoom in here, we can see back in December, it it had support there. It found support where, in other words, where the stock is bought at a level it's bought, and then I found a rough level there, and it broke above this. It broke above the level, and this is what they call like a rounding bottom formation. That's what I call it. Some people call it a cup and handle. Same thing. And we broke above it, held the level. The level kept holding, which was key. So this was really when I was letting you know that the momentum had shifted because momentum was down, down, down. Didn't get momentum until January, and I put this out to my newsletter subscribers actually in 23, and it kept holding. It held another level because like I found another level there that it held and broke over. So that's really bullish because it's got momentum when it's going higher, and it reclaimed this level again, and then the rest is history. It went up to like $10 or $9 from like 70 75 cents or so. So that was a good example of how it comes together. And I noticed this particular bottom formation I've been working a lot since the 22, and it's one of my favorite patterns still for when I look at a stock for investing, because I want to be investing in a stock when it's down a lot, when it hasn't been discovered yet with these small caps. So when it starts to get momentum and breaks over levels and continues to break out, then That's a just another indication that you're right. And just to clarify on the moving averages, I'm not knocking moving averages. Moving averages work. You know, there's a lot of ways that they work. I use moving averages in a lot of the screens that I do, the stock screens to find stocks that run filters, and moving averages are a part of many of those. So they're better for me for the screen because it just kind of gives you a broader picture. Screens don't draw channels, so it finds momentum that way. The same thing, it's kind of redundant to just drawing the channel, and the channel is just a little faster and more precise with where the price is respecting, because where the price respects is where it matters, and that's where the signal comes from.